welcome.
Thank
So
you.
glad to see you today. I want to introduce myself. I am Joanna Wilkerson.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too. I currently teach Title I preschool at the Hannibal Early Childhood Center at 4 Hannibal school districts, which as do you.
Yes.
And I wanted to touch base with you on parent-teacher conferences.
Yes.
So a little bit about my experience as I taught 3 years at Mark Twain Elementary for preschool, and then came to the Early Childhood Center and did infant toddler program for 6 years, and then now back to preschool. So getting back in preschool, I would love to know a little bit more about your teacher conferences.
Well, I would love to share.
Awesome. So a couple things that I want to know about you.
Yes.
First, what is your position currently? Where are you, and what is your teaching background?
Okay, I am a Title I teacher also here at the Early Childhood Center in Hannibal.
Jenny Curtis.
My name is Jenny Curtis, yes. And I previously have I taught for 11 years. I taught preschool, pre-K4. I call it pre-K4, so 4 turning 5 for 11 years at St. John's Lutheran Preschool. From there, I moved on to Mark Twain Elementary and taught kindergarten the majority of the time while I was there, with the exception of 1 year I taught first grade, which I love that dearly as well. And then preschool was just calling. So I thought, I'm going to apply for the Early Childhood Center, and was hired here. So I've been here, I believe, 6 years. I believe, but I can't be for sure, but around there. So that's my background. So preschool is my all-time favorite.
I'm with you on that. It's pretty awesome. So I'm currently, just the purpose of this interview, I'm currently taking a master's course called Counseling and Collaboration of Biblical and Worldviews.
Oh, yes.
And throughout this course, we are learning interviewing techniques and practices. So due to this time of year, and for an upcoming parent-teacher conference time, I have decided to, I'm viewing just questions in regards to parent-teacher conferences. I want to know from you about just how you run them, what kind of tips you have for myself and other pre-K teachers.
Yes.
Please do not use any names of parents or students as we want to honor your confidentiality.
Yes.
And also, this interview should take about 15 minutes. And the interview video will be uploaded to YouTube, and a paper will be written to summarize the interview process and the content involved. I will also be using the content for my own benefit for my parent-teacher conference growth. So before we get started, I'm going to shut this door so we don't have the background.
Sounds like a plan.
Maybe that will help us a little bit. If you understand and accept the purpose and the expectations of the interview, just say yes.
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. So we're going to start on with our questions.
Okay.
First, tell me more about your best parent-teacher conference experience, and then what are some of the best practices you have to replicate that experience?
Well, I do have one that does always stand out. Always stands out. It was a parent-teacher conference with a mother who, at that time, she had 3 children. This was the oldest, and it was a kindergarten, so new to school, this was the first time her baby had been in a school setting. So all of this was new to her. He was exhibiting behaviors that were atypical of a kindergarten student, and what I felt were truly beyond his control. I felt that he was not doing this to be ornery. He just could not help the behaviors he was exhibiting. And we had to relay this to Mom. And I did ask the principal to sit in just to be safe and get, to add her input, have her input as well. And that the particular mother, did not agree with me. She felt he was choosing this behavior. And just as you and I are speaking now, we completely disagreed. However, I said to her, and even these words came out of my mouth. I hear what you're saying, but I respectfully disagree. I disagree. I feel that this is beyond his control. He's not doing this to be silly, to be ornery. it's beyond his control. And she in turn said, I hear what you're saying, but I think that he can do that. I think she felt he just needed a swat on the hind end and so forth, and this behavior could be corrected. But after a while, as you know, experience will tell you there are just some behaviors you cannot control, and it is what it is. And then you go from there and you figure out how to modify those behaviors. But the principal had said, and that we went back and forth through the parent-teacher conference, and she did agree to some further testing by the end of the conference. And it was the most civil conference where we were on completely different sides of the fence. And when it was over, the principal had said, she said, I just wish every conference would go this way, because it was just such a mutual respect that we had for each other that will forever stick out in my mind. How we were on such different sides of the fence, but it was so cordial and peaceful, and there was no animosity, and that's just, it was so rewarding. It was just very rewarding to have her, someone open her ears, and I listened to her, and it was very rewarding. So, and coincidentally, I have her fourth baby in my class this year. So, and love that baby too.
Oh, that's so cool. So cool. So some of the best practices that you would do in order to replicate that experience?
Just always remain calm. I think just remain calm. You need to remain calm. And that word, I respect what you're saying.
That's my alarm that tells me I need to be in my classroom on time.
Well, electronics are wonderful. Yes. But I think if you could say to a parent, because sometimes parent-teacher conferences can be very, very tricky. I mean, especially at our age, with the students that are our age, because it's the first time their mama, a lot of them have ever had an experience, the first time they're ever being told possibly something they may not want to hear. So just keep it calm, and if it would ever get a little heated, I hear what you're saying, and I do disagree, but you can do it in a tone. I feel it's all about your tone, just a calm tone, a smile on your face, and to sandwich it in with positive stuff. So just a calm tone, and I hear what you're saying, and if you disagree, you need to be honest. You need to be honest. You can't say, you just can't. It will be a disservice to the student later on, and to the parent later on.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's hard sometimes, but just plug along.
Thank you. What are your most essential talking points to include during a parent-teacher conference?
Well, with preschool age, I try to hit on their social behavior, because really, ultimately, that is what we're here for. I mean, I absolutely academics as well, but their social behavior, and sometimes their social behavior is the cherry on top. Maybe their social behavior is so much further ahead than the academic behavior. And so, you really want to hit on that hard. I do try to hit on some of the main topics, such as just the road counting, just certain things, because there's so much on the grade card that's darn near impossible to hit everything on that grade card. I try to go over the grade card completely, but then elaborate on certain areas and just say. And something else, a talking point is, I do like to, I use this a lot, but you want a well-rounded student, So, you know what, maybe they're not soaring high in counting. At this point, are they going to get there? Yes, they're going to get there. What we want is a nice, well-rounded little guy or little gal. So hit on, because a lot of them are well-rounded. I mean, they might be a little imbalanced, the balance might be here, but explain to them that it all catches up in the long run, and because the goal is a nice, well-rounded little one, and so just basically just that. But I hit a lot on social, emotional, and some academics. But I really do try to make social, emotional the key, and then explain to them the goal is a well-rounded student in the long run.
Next question. What is your opinion on the child attending or not attending the conference, and why?
Ideally, I think it's kind of nice if the little one can not be there in attendance, and it's for a couple of reasons. It's kind of selfish reasons. One, at our age, they tend to destroy the classroom. They play with everything, they get everything out, and then they can't put anything away because bam, the next parent-teacher conference is starting, so the room is left a mess. And the only other time I've really had it be a real issue was the parent challenged everything I said on the report card. So if I had one thing down, the mom would say, "Oh no, they can do that. They can jump." I mean, it was just, so we didn't even get through the report card because we were so busy focused on what she felt she could do, which I'm sure she felt. Like, parents don't quite grasp if they skip the number 7 but can get to the number 13, that really that's not counting to 13. You know what I mean? So that's kind of tricky. Now, with that being said, if the student does come, I'm not upset by any means. And I do try to put out a little area to just direct them to that area, like maybe some crayons at the table, some scissors and papers, just for them to focus on. And it can even be right there at the table with us, but just so they don't destroy the classroom, because that really is, for me, the biggest deal. They destroy the classroom. Yes. And I understand. They're little, there's toys. They have free reign. Nobody to compete with. I get it. So ideally, if they could not be there, but if they are, it's okay too.
Cool. How much time do you allow for conferences?
It definitely depends on the number of students I have, but almost always, because I've almost always had 20 students, with the exception of when I had the parent pay class, which was teachers' children. It was a smaller class, so the duration of those were much longer. Prior to that, I've always had 20 students or more, and I'm up to 20 this year. So what I do, I schedule it for 15 minutes with a 5-minute buffer.
Okay.
So I tell them it's 15 minutes, but typically they'll always go on through that 5-minute buffer, and that's okay. But I'm afraid if I tell them 20 minutes, then it'll even run a little bit longer than that, and then I'm going to be taking up valuable time from the next parent. So 15 minutes with a 5-minute buffer. So ideally I schedule 20, but I tell them 15 I just tell them 15, and then I know there's 5 minutes to play with.
Cool. And then with that time frame, what is the percentage of time spent for the teacher talking and the parents talking?
On that, I truly go with the conference itself, because there are times when the parent just needs to talk, and honestly, with this age, they want to talk about their baby, you know, and that's their time to shine and have a good time and talk about their baby, and that's okay. I mean, if I have a dire concern, then I would want to certainly address that, or if I had a dire concern, I hope that I would have shared that with the parent already, if I had a dire concern. But honestly, it is truly, I feel the room. You read the room. If the mama needs to talk a little bit, if the daddy needs to talk a little bit about their little one, then we do that. If they're feeling awkward, then I would maybe talk a little more. It's certainly a give and take, and it is sometimes awkward because most mamas like to talk about their baby, but rarely you will have one that's really quiet and nervous, and then you just gush about their baby and what they can do. So really, it's just you read the room, and what needs to be is what I do.
Okay. And then with those parents that really like to talk and you want to hear them talk, what are some ways that you can keep the conference on topic and on schedule while still building the relationships?
On topic and on schedule, what I have found is to keep it on topic is in advance, jot down a couple of things that are the positives that you want to speak about. And then if there's maybe one area you want to work out, have that jotted down in advance, like on a sheet of paper, some things we could talk about to help keep you focused. Something else I've done, I want to face the door. That way I can see if the other parent has arrived. Because if the other parent hasn't arrived, or they're like, I'm okay to keep talking, I'm okay with that. But if they have arrived and I can see them, I want to be respectful to them. So I'm like, oh goodness, I think it's gone. I've also done this. I've put a piece of paper on the door that says, help keep me on schedule. If it is time for your conference, please knock on the door. So that helps too. Because sometimes they can run over. If you get the mama and daddy who like to, and I have the gift of gab too, so it doesn't help. But that little note on the door helps too.
I like that. And then do you have any other information related to parent-teacher conferences that could benefit any other teachers that you haven't spoken of yet?
I think one thing that I would say, if you do have some things that are a little heavier, that maybe a mama doesn't want to hear, I feel like we can kind of get that early on. We know, like, I'm going to have to share this with mama or whatever. I think front loading with as much positivity that you can with that mama, because when you have that relationship and that mama loves you because you love their baby, then they can swallow that pill that's not so easy to swallow. If they have that relationship with you, if you know you genuinely love their baby, but for them to know that, you have to build that relationship. And thank goodness with technology nowadays, in the past it might have been harder, but because we don't see a lot of the parents. I think there are, out of 20, there might be 5 that I see regularly because they drop their little one off. But the other ones, it's hard to build that relationship in theory, but you have text messages, you have email. If the parent has email, you have some use an app, and that I've used and I've found to be helpful. Just a deposit, So if you do have something that is going to be hard to share, front load them with the love and genuine love. They'll know if you're disingenuous. You don't want to do that. Front load them with all you have. And then prior to the conference, and then maybe even, share a little, you don't want it to be like to scare them, but, share little bits. And I think anything can be shared with a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of love, a great big smile, because you don't want to hurt their feet. That's their baby. It's their precious baby. And you don't want to make them sad about their precious baby. So that's what I would do. I would just say front load the love. That's advice I would give. Front load the love. That way it's going to be so much easier in the long run when if you have to share something that maybe isn't as much fun. That's what I would say.
And to close, I have learned some new tips and effective parent-teacher conference methods throughout this interview, so thank you for those. And again, this interview and information will be uploaded to YouTube as part of my master's course assignment. Also, information shared will be considered and put into practice as I prepare for upcoming conferences. And thank you for taking the time out to help me with my assignment. And I also just want to say thank you for the added ways to help with parent-teacher conferences that myself and other teachers can learn from. So best wishes to you as you prepare for your own conferences.
Yes.
And continue your classroom mission.
Well, I thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, and good luck in this class.
Thank you.
People love it.
Thank you.